Hello, Trisha here. We're going to work through a little bit of the movement that we explored at the conference and yoga for the artist hands. Let's begin. You'll need a yoga strap or something like it. A scarf or a belt would do. And we're going to floss the shoulders. So you're going to start with your yoga strap out in your hands. And you want to keep the arms nice and straight. And you're going to take the hands as wide as they need to be able to comfortably take that strap over your head and drop it down all the way behind you. And then you'll come all the way back to the front. And so there's the initial movement of starting to floss through the shoulders. Forward and back. Just a nice, slow, steady move. And as you work through that a few times, you'll really start to feel the chest and the shoulders start to open. And once you do, then you can bring the strap just behind the head slightly, and you're just going to kind of pause in what would be that widest spot for yourself. And just kind of breathe into that. Really reach through the arms, nice and long. And then from there, we'll do some side bending with the strap. So the strap's still over your head, and then we're just going to drop from the right and into the left, side to side. And just pausing, taking your time as you get all the way as far as you can go to the right and to the left. And then from there, you're going to come back in and we'll do some twisting. So nice slow rotation, twisting, and then coming back through center as far over as your body will allow. And the key is to just kind of go slow and find where that edge is, where that stopping point is. It might be different from your right and to your left, so taking time with that. And then just coming back in one more time for some flossing. Notice how that might feel different. Forward and back. Okay? All right, and then let's come down. You can set your strap aside and just take a moment. Notice how the arms and the shoulders feel from that. Let's bring our awareness in towards the hands more specifically. And you can do this standing or you can do this seated, whatever is comfortable for you. But we're just going to interlace the hands, and then for a moment just kind of squeeze in and feel your own grip strength, and then just kind of soften, and then just several more times of squeezing and softening, starting to feel that maybe through the forearms and even up into the biceps. Okay, from there, thinking of your knuckles, you're going to draw a figure 8 with your knuckles. And really allow that movement to come from the nucleus of your wrist. So I could make this from the arms, but I'm really trying to just keep this in the wrist for now. Notice what direction you went to first. See if you can reverse that figure 8. You might be able to, you might not. I'm just working a little bit into the brain with this one. Okay. And then from there, just pressing the palms forward to get that counter stretch through the wrists. And then just taking the arms overhead and really let the shoulders shrug up into the ears. Palms pressing up into that ceiling. Fantastic. And then just releasing that. Take a moment, whether you're standing or seated, just let that metabolize. And then from there, we'll work a little bit into the shoulders. So taking the arms forward out in front of you, nice and long with the palms flexed, you're going to let your shoulders kind of shrug forward and then pulling those shoulder blades together on your back, right? So the arm stays straight and it's really coming from your back. And so squeezing those shoulder blades together and apart. Another way to experience this and work with this move is to come to tabletop, hands, knees. And now you got a little feedback from the floor. So I can sink in, my shoulder blades are together, and then pressing the floor away. So it's your shoulder blades, also known as your scapula, together and apart. Really good for that tension there between the shoulder blades, the rhomboids, and lats. Okay, since I'm right here at tabletop, a little bit of moving through the spine, cat-cow pose. So you'll notice I'm doing this from tabletop, arching and rounding. You can also explore this from your seat or from standing, a little bit of leaning in and then arching and rounding. So these moves, again, they don't have to be always done on the floor or on a yoga mat to use them, right? Okay. Arching and rounding through the back. Now, coming back through standing, working with a similar move of the shoulders like we just did, you're going to kind of ball up your hands and make fists. Kind of pretend like you have a hold of a rubber band, and you're just going to pull it back, a little resistance. Really squeeze those shoulder blades together, and then just reaching back out. So you don't even have to have a hold of anything to do this. But really just work on getting your elbows behind you, right? And just imagine that you're pulling something strong, okay? Pulling, squeezing together those shoulder blades back there. All right. From there, let's take the feet wide, a little wider of a stance, reaching out through your arms, flexing the palms like you're pushing walls away, and then just this paintbrush swipe through the wrist. So flexing forward and back. Really try to get that to come from the wrist. You can do this in any position as well, seated or standing. You might even use your hand to hold the forearm to get this to come from that wrist, not just the fingers. Okay, yeah, and then shaking that out. Let's bring hands to the shoulders. So I'm going to tap my shoulders, and I'm going to lead my movement with the elbows. Let's work this one arm at a time. So I'm just going to trace a big circle with the elbow. And this just kind of hits different versus if I was doing this big sweeping circle with the arm. So you might try it both ways. Big sweeping circle, like arm on a clock. But then what's this like if you bring it to the shoulder and now you're leading it from the elbow? I just feel like we get a little bit more into the nooks and crannies of that move. So make sure we do this other arm. Working through the elbow, hitting every number on the clock, and just reversing it. You might see what it's like to move that through the whole arm. And then again, what it feels like through leading with the elbow. Okay. Now that we've warmed the arms up that way, I'm gonna show us teacup drills with our yoga block. You could also use a magazine or a book. For our teacup drills, palm is out flat. We're not gripping it with the fingers, flat like a tray. And then you're moving all the ways you possibly can while you simply balance that block in the hand. No wrong way to do it, which is a great thing. And I love this move because it gets everything moving. You're allowed to kind of let the torso bend and arch any kind of way to find those patterns of movement with the arm and shoulder. Now I'll say you might work on keeping the arm nice and straight so that it does come from the shoulder, versus if things are bending at the elbow, we don't get as much from the shoulder, but just explore this. Getting the wrist, elbow, and the shoulder to kind of work in symphony. Let's just explore the other side. So dominant arm is going to certainly feel different than that other arm. Just working through it. Making your way, all the patterns, all the ways we can move through that arm. You can exaggerate that movement, rounding, folding. Okay. And then let's release that. All right. Coming back in, seated or standing, bringing the palms in, and just noticing the contact you have, the right palm pressing into the left. And then I'm going to dip my fingers in and then come to the backs of the hands, and then just right back into my palm print. So let's just start small with this, almost like to articulate through every joint space. And then as you get the tops of the hands pressed together there, we're just going to circle. So the backs of my hands and the front of my hands connect in this circle-like motion. And then let's reverse it. So just going the other way. Keeping that contact with the hands as feedback to roll through. Now, let's just take the arms out wide. Take a moment to release because the arms can kind of tire quickly from that. And then from there, reaching the arms back out. And we're just going to cross the arms at the wrist and clasp the hands. And then this fancy little spiral forward and back, right? Threading the arms through and out. And then now as you bring this in, can you straighten there? There's sometimes the tight spot. Okay. Let's release that and just cross the arms the other way because you had one hand on top. We want the other on top because it's going to hit different. And then again, threading. See if that side can straighten. No extra cranking, but just see what's available. Just kind of work your way into it. And releasing out. Take a moment, just kind of let all of that settle in. Let everything catch up to everything else. Okay. From there, we'll work a little bit into the upper back mobility. This can be done from tabletop, or as we did in this session, we did this from a low runner's lunge. I have my right foot forward. I'm kind of supporting myself on my left hand. And I'm going to bring my right hand to that shoulder again. And then I'm peeling up, opening, looking up. And then I'm going to point down with the elbow. So I'm going to kind of open, close. Okay? This is what it looks like from a low lunge. This is what it looks like from tabletop. And maybe that elbow can even tap down to the floor. Just check in and notice what's available. Obviously, we want to do that whole other side from low lunge or tabletop. Just leading with the elbow, pointing up, pointing down. And let's release that. Coming on back through. Finding your way into your seat, into a cross-legged seat on the floor, which in of itself is just a nice stretch for the low back and into the hips. Okay. And then from here, we're going to sit up in our seat with the hands at the knees. You're going to lean, stir the pot, sway your body side to side. And now because we cross the legs kind of the same way every time without thinking about it, let's switch that and put the other foot in front, leaning forward, swaying, shifting that stretch through the back. And then rising, coming on back up. Just let's lean back into the hands and just kind of lift through your chest, gazing up or dropping the head back, just opening through the front side. And releasing that. Okay. Again, recross the feet other way or find a standing position for this. One of the other shoulder moves that we worked through in the session for yoga for the artist hands is to take one arm overhead like a windmill. You're going to bend that elbow, hand comes behind the head. Slowly reach it back out really long. Go thumbs down and sweep behind you. And do this in a way where you're not really trying to achieve something. You're just seeing, what is my arm capable of here? How far can I reach back and up behind? How far can I bring my hand behind head? So several slow times through this, you'll really feel that shoulder warm up. And then obviously working through your other side, nice and slow. Thumbs down, coming up in the back behind you to that opposite shoulder blade. And just kind of making space, right? Knocking the rust off. It takes time. Okay. Releasing back out through that. We're going to make our way to the mat here. And again, if you have a yoga block or a rolled up towel, will work for this. Really nice, specific for the upper back and shoulders, that will kind of help with that rounding, folding over position you might find yourself in a lot. So yoga block or towel rolled up behind you, way up high, up there by the shoulder blades, okay? And then you're going to lay back, and so that the upper back is what is supported. And the upper back is what's kind of reaching over the block. So a little bit you want your shoulders and head to spill over the block. I'm interlacing my hands behind, and then I'm just letting gravity, letting the weight of my body kind of drape over. And you just pause there, take a few moments, and really feel gravity start to sink you over, or kind of just feel the body kind of melt over top of that block. And breathe. Here you can do a little movement to, again, just work into the mobility of it. So it's like this tiny, it looks like this tiny little sit-up. It's not about that, but just trying to inch some movement into that tightness of the upper back here. Okay, so you might like to sit still in this, like we were. But if that becomes intense, then again, just a little movement goes a long way with this. As you drape back over your block, taking the arms, interlace them, crossing the wrist, and just reaching a little bit more weight over the other side of that block. And then releasing. Explore this till you find the right setup. So the block or towel, if it feels too high, folding it down a level, and then just draping. The key though is high between the shoulder blades, horizontal back there with the block. Okay, good. Let's come on back up through it, and we'll finish on the mat. So bringing the knees in, reclining, head, shoulder blades, good length of the spine, hugging the knees here, and then just the slightest little rock side to side. So you're massaging the small of the back into the floor. So you can really utilize the floor here to just feel connected and refreshed through the low back. Little rock side to side, shifting and drifting. From there, plant your feet, take your arms up, circle through the wrists. Nice and slow, like you just discovered you have wrists and hands. Let's draw the right knee in, give it a good squeeze. Take your left leg in the air, circle through your ankle joint. Similar to the hands, giving it a little extra attention. We'll take that leg down the mat nice and long. Breathing towards the belly. And let's switch. So other knee, hug it in, close with the hands. Take the leg up, circle through the ankle. Moving just the ankle if you can, ankle and foot. And then that leg goes down the mat long. And bringing that in. Let's plant the feet. Arms to your side, little sway side to side here. Either hands behind the head or out wide to your side, but just windshield wiper the knees. Feel the hips and low back come along for the ride. Okay, we'll finish. We'll take the legs down the mat long, just a nice little movement break. Reach the arms, nice long full body stretch into every cell of your glorious body. And then just easing to your side, rising, coming on back up into your day. All right, thank you. Have the best day.